Good evening and welcome to our February 20th, 2025 Bedford Board of Education Agenda, Consent Agenda Meeting. Roll call, please.
Yes. Ms. Boynton?
Here.
Ms. Turner Birch?
Present.
Mr. Akins?
Here.
Ms. Macklin?
Here.
Ms. Carter?
Here. Thank you. We can have 1.03, our Pledge of Allegiance, if we can stand. Thank you. 2.01 is acknowledgement of our goals, which you can read at your leisure. 3, approval of minutes. 3.01, approval of minutes from January 21st, 2025 special meeting. If I can have a motion.
So moved.
It's been moved by Mrs. Boynton. That was you, Mrs. Boynton, right?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I can't see Miles move. And seconded by Mrs. Macklin, that we accept the minutes from January 12th, 2025 special meeting. Any questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Yes. Ms. Boynton?
Yes.
Ms. Macklin?
Yes.
Ms. Turner Birch?
Yes.
Mr. Akins?
Yes.
And Ms. Carter?
Yes. Thank you. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Board. We are on to 4. We are awards, presentations, and communications. 4.01 is our Voices of Inspiration, celebrating our Black History Month, led by Miss Maria Henderson. I'm sorry, Marla. Woo, sorry, glasses on, still can't see. Mrs. Henderson, we're ready.
Lift every voice and sing. We invite all of you to please join us as we sing the anthem. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Thank you.
Can you introduce your group?
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Johnson, come on back. All right, so can we go down the line? Will you please say your name and your grade?
Starting from where?
Okay, let's start from you.
Oh,
Jay.
my name is Jaya, and I'm in seventh. My name is Jaya Birch, and I'm in 7th grade.
My name is Jada Taylor, and I'm in the 8th grade.
My name is Jalen Dawson, and I'm in 8th grade. I'm Kimberly Gomez, and I'm in the 8th grade. I'm Regina Jones, and I'm in 6th grade.
I'm Zamorian Avery, and I'm in the 8th grade.
Thank you so much. Great job. Always love seeing you all come in and present us with your talents. And I loved seeing the difference of now seeing a student show them to direct them instead of the teacher. So that was great. Thank you. All right, 4.02 is our GPD presentation. I have Russell come on up. Woo-hoo.
It's hard to follow that. I won't be singing tonight.
Oh, no, come on, Russell. Do something. Something, Russell, something.
Do a little dance.
They could do that. So tonight, again, this is kind of a follow-up to our previous conversation last week at the work session meeting at the high school. Just wanted to kind of bring it up today. If there are any questions to the community, be able to stay afterwards and answer those questions. But again, just to provide an update on where we're at with the project. We did submit our design development drawings. Was anything heard before this? Okay. We did submit our design development submission documents per the OFCC requirements. That gives us an opportunity to layer in engineering, civil, mechanical, electrical, gives the estimators and the construction managers a chance to estimate that project, reflect, value engineer, potentially do some scope reduction items that we'll talk about in a minute, and then move forward into construction documents where we'll have a chance to reach out to subcontractors and bid these projects. Right now, that's anticipated to happen in end of April, early May. So May will be kind of that bidding month. Likely there will be a early site package, GMP, that will be presented to the board in April, and that groundbreaking work will really start in May. So we're kind of excited about the next couple months. This is a critical period for us, and the board will have an opportunity to have a resolution to approve the design development phase submission later in the program. Last week, we presented some recommendations, and just wanted to bring those up really quickly to summarize where we're at with the project. We had some budget issues and recommended some value engineering. Last week, we talked about what value engineering means. It could be something like substituting out a roofing material, but the goal and the intent of the design team and the engineering is to make sure what we're proposing, what we're building these buildings out of are sustainable, durable, and long-lasting. So when we talk about what we're going to substitute out to save some dollars in terms of the budget, it's not something that you might not even recognize. It's not changing the learning facilities, the places where kids are going to learn, or the quality. It's really just changing the detailing in an effort to save some dollars. And then if we can't achieve budget that way, we'll move on to the next step, which is build less, scope reductions. And one of the examples that we listed here is to identify any locally funded initiatives that aren't part of the co-funded portion with the OFCC, because when you decided to go through the ELP partnership, there's a contribution of 21% that will be given back at the end of the project, and we want to make sure we're not touching that co-funded piece. So there's some other listed items and listed program within the master plan of that bond that was passed, and that's really where we're looking to reduce scope. Some of those pieces of scope that we made those recommendations to do is to remove the pre-K program out of the K2, which will be located in a different building within the district. That gives obviously some budget advantages, but also some growth opportunities in those facilities where that program, which has a long wait list, can be housed. And so we kind of see it as a challenge and opportunity, but it's an area where we can reduce some scope now and have some growth opportunities in the future. The other recommendation we made was to eliminate the Board of Education new construction at the 6-8 building. We know that there's a need to move this building in order to build the high school on this site. We're just recommending to relocate that to an existing facility in an effort to reduce costs presently and relocate to an existing building. So again, looking at LFI dollars to reduce cost estimating at this time to move forward through the rest of the design process. And then the other bucket that I didn't even show here was to ask for additional money, and we just kind of said, we're gonna tackle these two things with value engineering and scope reduction. When we recommend cost exercises, value engineering, scope reduction, we wanna always go back to the 2022 master plan visions that the committee developed. And I read through them at the past board meeting. I won't do that again today, but really what our goal is as we move forward with this large program is to revisit these 9 visions and non-negotiables and not jeopardize what we promised when passing the bond, to still accomplish those goals with both these new projects starting now and then also with the high school moving ahead with career tech. Chris Montgomery with Panzeca is going to talk about the schedule, and then I'll jump back in and show the site plans with both projects.
Thanks, Russell. So we are a little bit behind on where we expected to be based on some of the working through the DD budget, making sure everything was where we needed to be from the master plan as well as budgeting. But with not building the Board of Ed would also bought us a little bit of time. But as Russell said, we're still expecting to have a early site GMP for approval towards the end of April. That would be just for the middle school, and then we'll probably come back about 2-3 weeks after that with the K through 2 school and have that to be able to start both of those projects. We're looking at the middle school at early part of May, and then the K through 2 towards the end of May, which really works out in a nice timing to where, you know, school at Heskett will be ending there in a soon time. We'll be able to kind of be starting on the back side of it, not disrupting school. But then once school's out, we can kind of get all of that kind of rework towards the front, get kind of the messy, dirty work done, you know, as much as possible during the summertime while school's out. From an overall schedule standpoint, we're still doing really well. We've got developed overall master schedules for each of the schools at this point that we can. High school is obviously a lot more of just a block because we don't have a design yet for it, but we're still maintaining those schedules as we go through each phase. Feel very good still about middle school K through 2 both opening for 27, and then the high school in 28. So that's where we're at in schedule.
And then at the last board meeting, we wanted to, you know, there were some recommendations stated, and it affects the plan. It affects the design time that we're working on. So we're just moving through that process, and we wanted to bring some work that we've been working on. So with a pre-K wing removal, it sounds simple, but in reality, there's a lot of work involved to do that. And so we just wanted to share an update on what that site plan looks like. I'll walk through the site plan for the K2, and I'll walk through the site plan of the 6-8, but from 1,000 feet in the air, you might not notice too many changes, but there's a lot involved in that. There's some site improvement savings that, you know, underground detention, for instance, that's a tight site at the Heskett location, and so any removal of building really has advantages that snowball down to the advantage of the district, parking requirements, et cetera. So a lot of that value engineering is still occurring as we're working through documents in construction documents, I should say. So for the PK2, or the I'm sorry, I started with the 6-8, okay. For the 6-8 building, it might appear to be the same, and I'll just walk up. So the big change is that the Board of Education always had a unique identity and was tilted so that the entrance for the 6-8 and the Board of Education was distinct, separate, and not to be confused with where kids and visitors are going to go. Well, when that got pulled away, we really wanted to take another look at how the building was organized. Two things that we heard was drop off, you know, a lot of parents dropping off kids. We wanted to really extend that drop-off location. So when we removed the Board of Education out, that gave us an opportunity to extend that drive path for drop-off. It also gave us a chance to reconfigure a lot of the music, art, and media center along the backside. So it's a much more efficient design now that we removed Board of Education. It removed that parking lot that was dedicated for the board office, and improved the site drop-off for parents as they drop off students in the front of the building. The stars pretty much are the same, front entry facing Northfield. This is obviously right across from the current administration office and high school, and then the bus drop-off on the back side of the school will still enter the gym/student dinings for any morning breakfast that's served. Kids can get off the bus, head right into the gym and student dining, back of house and kitchen area. So this is kind of where we're at. We're proceeding with the early site package. That really includes all the underground utilities, the earthwork, everything that's going to be done sort of at the ground level and below. That's what you'll have an opportunity to review pricing for in April. And then at the K2 site, Heskett's shown kind of ghosted out, but it's still obviously there, and we're working through that. Originally, we had a 1-2 wing, which is a 2-story wing on the south side of the site near the playground. We had a pre-K wing and a K wing. Those two wings kind of spanned north-south on the site. So what we're doing now is we moved the K wing forward towards the drop-off line and really kept about the same proportions everywhere else. Although with kids kind of on that front side, we tightened up the building, which helps on earthwork, underground utilities. We've mentioned in the past this is a challenging site, and so grading is an issue. The 14-foot grade change in the back side of the site, we were able to move that portion of the building. So from an earthwork, you're spending the money where the kids are going to learn and not by pushing dirt as much, if that makes sense. So this plan is tighter with that removal. We were able to save some of the underground detention, which is very expensive, and instead do an above-ground dry detention basin on site, which is huge advantage for the budget. Again, the stars, the main entry with the star on the left facing Perkins. The bus entry coming off Columbus will wrap around and park. That bus parking will serve the future 3-5, which is Heskett, and then the future K2. So that bus parking is really strategic because it serves both schools in both directions. And then the playground is combined. We're going to engage with some students soon and see what their thoughts are on some playground equipment and colors, and really have some playful ideas on what they want to do in that playground. But right now, yeah, that K2 playground will be designed shortly, and we're going to work that into the construction documents. So that's where the site plans are at with K2, and we'll stick around in case there's any community comments or questions to answer. But if you guys have any questions or questions now, we're happy to answer those.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions or anything for Russell at this moment?
Okay, we'll just hang on.
Perfect, thank you.
You said on the middle school building.
Yeah.
You said when they drop off, they can eat. Is the cafeteria and the gym about to be the same thing? Is that what you were saying? Oh, okay. It's
You
just
can go
that's
left
where
or
we
straight.
housed. Okay.
Yeah, you'll walk into a secure vestibule where there'll be the opportunity for a security guard or vestibule.
In this area,
Yeah.
Okay.
and then you have your gym over here.
Okay.
So it kind of splits between the two areas.
Gotcha.
And for after-hours events, that bus parking can be double-striped, so basically after hours, that visitors can park there and go into the vestibule and directly into the gym. So it's kind of a nice like event parking space and bus parking space, so that flow can work all day.
And it works too, even with the breakfast and gym, because I know currently, sometimes the children split up like by grade level. There's some go to the auditorium. If they're not eating breakfast, they go to the auditorium or they go to the gym. And so with having everything in that one spot, it's not one on one side of the building and the other's on the other side of the building. Yeah,
And that whole piece where the Bedford 6-8 is separated by a fire door and a panic door. There's a 6th, 7th, and 8th grade wing above. So it's kind of like academics and then other extracurriculars below.
It also serves a good purpose with that setup is when there's indoor recess.
Right.
You don't have far to go from recess to
lunch,
lunchroom.
exactly.
Yes, it works out pretty
We
well.
like to organize the gym and those outdoor activities because there is a field, there is some grass space out there, and so put that near the gym is kind of a good practice.
Yeah, especially if they do gym outside for anything.
Thank you so much. And I also want to, this is not actually necessarily for you, but we did put that letter out with all the changes from the last meeting. So I want to make sure I put this on record so those who may be watching online or may even be here and didn't get a chance to look at their email. There was an email sent out stating all of the changes that are taking place and that were mentioned in the last meeting with GPD here. So I want to make sure you all have that, and if someone didn't get it in their email or anything like that, definitely please reach out, so then that way we can make sure we get you on our email list. Because I know that's a big concern that everybody's having, is they're not getting the communication, but if we're able to make sure everybody's getting it, but we know this has been sent out, and if we can try to reach as many people as possible, we're trying, so, thank you.
And just to add to that, Jamie has done a wonderful job.
Yes.
I would
you
call
have.
her, we just given her a lot of people that want to be on the,
Yes.
on the email list, so thank you, Jamie.
Yes, thank you so much. And thank you for staying around, just in case there's any
Yeah,
questions.
absolutely.
Any other questions for Russell before he sits down? No? Okay. 4.03, we have our idea dash B, public participation through explanation. So we're going to have Miriam Armstrong, Supervisor of Pupil Personnel, come up and present.
Just click on the next one. Enter. All right. Good evening, everyone. So it's hard to believe we're in our second year now as our new SPED team. Kristen Ray and I are finishing up or coming to the second semester of our second year, and we're very excited. We've learned a lot, we've grown a lot, and one of the things that we're working very hard on is our communication with our families and our community. So we would like to talk a little bit about what is IDEAB and where do our funds come from for special education. All right, if I can get this to work. All right. Why is my presentation not working here? Why is it?
It's presented over here, I don't know.
But that's not the one I'm supposed to be on.
Give us 1 second.
All right, a little technical difficulties. All right. There he goes. I just have to click on it, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. There we go. All right. Oh, why is that not showing? This is like the worst thing ever.
That's okay.
I don't know where this came from. It's just not moving up there. So I can go and talk about it a little bit?
Yeah.
So if we're going to talk about what is IDEAB, it's really part of the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, okay? And this is our federal funding. It comes from our federal government, and it ensures that all of our students aged 3 through 21 with a disability.
Miriam, I'm sorry, can we have you talking to Mike?
Oh, Lord.
Sorry.
All right, and it ensures that all of our students, ages 3 through 21, receive a free appropriate public education in the least restrictive environment. And we are working very hard to make sure that all of our students, we have a full continuum of services here at Bedford City Schools, and we have added some programming that we'll talk about in a little bit. So there's very specific things when you have federal funding. There's very, very specific things that you can and cannot use the money for. So we just want to make sure that people understand that, like, the monies must be used for only special education students. So it's very, very clear, and
That includes our related services like our OT, our PT, our school psychs, things like that. We can purchase assisted technology. We can do professional development. Early intervening services would be things that we would do to help, like the MTSS process, to help students along so that they may or may not be identified at some point. We are allowed to use the money for parental engagement, transportation, and compliance and monitoring. So it's very, they're very clear what you can use the funds for. What we cannot use the funds for are just as specific. Got it? The next one? All right, so we cannot use the funds for general education expenses. So they're very clear that it's only for students with special needs. We just heard from GPD, we cannot use it for construction or facility upgrades. And this is a big one. We cannot replace anything that we've already used general funds for. Okay, so we can supplement, but we cannot supplant. So if something has been historically paid for by general fund, it cannot be moved into our grant. Administrative costs not related to special education, services for non-eligible students, school-wide programs without special education focus, legal fees or settlement, any medical services, or unapproved or excessive travel costs. So our budget this year from the federal government was a total of $1,104,746.86. So we worked very hard to make sure that we broke it into places that made sense. So you will see a lot of this is salary and benefits because we are offsetting our general fund. And we had promised when we brought the BEAR program in that our general fund would not take the brunt of the BEAR program. So you'll see that instruction, $387,900 is the dean, the teacher, the paraprofessionals, our RBT. That's the bulk of that is our BEAR program right there. Governance would be our compliance coaches, Kristen, myself, things like that. If we're talking about support services, we're talking about OT, PT, psychs, and things that they would need. A lot of the things that we have allotted for is supplies for our teachers, because I think our classrooms need a lot of supplemental materials. And one thing that we're working very, very hard for, a lot of our students are coming in with a lot of trauma. They're very dysregulated. So our OTs are working very hard to lead the charge in that. And we have put aside significant funds so that they can start working on creating sensory spaces in all of our MD rooms. So that's one of the things that we're going to be working on. And family engagement is very important. We just had our first family engagement night. So we did put aside a little bit of money so that we can, buy snacks, buy materials, and things like that. All right? That $53,000 in facilities, that's also for the BEAR program. That's how we stay at the BEAR at Mount Zion. All right, so examples of how we've used IDA Part B. I know the numbers don't always mean a lot, but we're working very hard to make sure that our kids have current technology. So we've been buying iPads, but not just iPads. So a lot of the apps are very expensive. Proloquo Go, Touch Chat, all of these things are very important because not everybody has their own devices, and these really help our students access curriculum. So we are updating all of those things. We're updating Clear Touch boards. We have more students than ever with hearing impairments, so we're purchasing Rogers devices, so when we do have somebody, we don't have to wait forever to get that material for them. Again, sensory spaces, manipulatives to support curriculum, and then professional development. We're working really hard to make sure that our teachers have up-to-date research-based methods in which they engage with their students. All right? And that's really all I had today. Did anybody have any questions for me?
No, I thank you and appreciate that you're here delivering the information. I think it's very important considering what we're facing at the federal level right now. So it's important that we are seeing visually what a greater impact could take place if, in fact, a law is imposed, and where we could
benefit to lose a lot. Not just in instruction for our students, but just overall in general in a large majority of our students that we are serving. So I appreciate, I think it was very valid and informative and definitely very important in this time.
Marion, I do have one question for you, and just to piggyback off what Ms. Turner Birch mentioned, what could be coming down, I hope not, down the pipe. So if something would happen, we would still have to provide those services for our
Absolutely.
students. And that money would have to come out of our general fund now, is
Absolutely.
that correct? So and that really needs to be said. That's why everybody needs to kind of step up and put some pressure on some people, because those services, our students still would have to receive those services.
Yep.
And that money, it wouldn't be there for that.
Absolutely.
So I'm glad too that you shared that, but this is a big deal.
It is.
Huge.
It's very timely.
So, all right, thank
Thank
you.
you so much for
Thank you.
full transparency and bringing that. Like,
Facts.
Mrs. Turner Birch said, we're again trying to be open and transparent with our community members, trying to show them what we're doing. And I'm hoping this also gets, like they said, to, the federal government to see what we're doing, what we're not, well, what we are doing, what we're able to do. Because again, if we lose this, we see what stands to happen, and we can't afford to let that happen. So, but seeing that our funds are being used very well and helping our students, it definitely makes a world of a difference. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
I was just hoping, Marion, because a lot of the bulk of the budget board, you talked about the BEAR program. A little bit later, probably in the next couple board meetings, if it's okay with you, it'd be nice to have an update. But I would like for you to share the win this week.
Oh, boy.
And also, I know that you've been asked or invited to attend a meeting at Zion, so if you could tell the board a little bit about that as well.
I told you I'm still crying. I'm so excited about this. So our students at Bear are all there because they really struggled in our general MD classes in our buildings, and they are just exploding. They're just doing so well. So we have one young lady in our classroom that she likes to flicker the lights. She doesn't do that anymore. She has been nonverbal. She's 7 years old. And yesterday I was doing an observation with our SLP, and she said her first word. And so I'm getting teary-eyed just thinking about it. I texted Dr. Johnson. I said, this is my why. This is why we do this. So I walked around there yesterday, and I said these kids were hitting people. They were running around the building. They were running out of the building. When I looked, all of those students were sitting in seats with their adult learning. There is true learning going on there, and I am so proud of the staff that's there because they work so hard every single day. And I am going to cry, so I'm going to stop talking. March 16th, Mount Zion has invited us to a program they were having, and they would like to recognize us and have a lunch for the BEAR program because they have been wonderful partners to us. So things are going well there, and I'm very excited.
So happy to hear that. And I will say kudos to the BEAR program, kudos to just the district as a whole. Having a son who's nonverbal, who attended and graduated from this district, came from another district, but came here and exploded with how he treated others, how he acted, how he learned. And I will say, I know a lot of people were concerned about COVID and being online. That's when he really thrived. Because again, teachers were still involved. They were still focusing, even though they were online. And so I want to give kudos because I've seen what the district can do, and I've seen the results. And so I'm really excited, and I try not to get emotional over it because that's my baby. And he was the district's baby. And so I know what the district can do, and I've seen it, and I love it, and I keep going.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say that I have a granddaughter who's in preschool who's nonverbal. Well, she was nonverbal. She's talking now. She is so funny. Her mother did something to her one day, and we were standing in the kitchen, and she turned around and said, "You monkey!" I said, "Oh my goodness, she's talking." Her mother was a little upset because she called her monkey. So now when she say something to her mother, she say, monkey. So I said, just take it, just take it. She's talking. But she's really changed, and she's striving, and she's really doing good. And I think that we have a wonderful program. She will be in Bedford for kindergarten and whatever. I think we have a wonderful program for them, and I just love it. I love it. I mean, she talked. For her to talk just brings tears to my eyes. And she's 4 years old, and she's just now talking. So I just want to say thank you, Bedford teachers, everybody, because what you're doing for our kids, our grandkids, is just a wonderful thing, a wonderful thing. They thought she was going to be scared of the bus. She ran up on that bus like she owned it. So they had trouble at first getting her off the bus, but now she gets on and off the bus, and she says hi and bye and good morning now. But before, she never would say anything. And everybody is JJ. But I just want to thank the preschool teachers. Thank you, Dr. Johnson. Thank the board. Thank everybody, because I am so proud of what my granddaughter is doing now. I mean, I'm so proud of her, and it's just wonderful. It's just wonderful. My daughter's tearing up. But it's just wonderful that she's come this far that fast. So thank you.
Well, for the record, the word that she said was more, because she wanted more cheese balls. So it's all about incentive.
That is really, really good. I'm loving it. And I'm thinking back, this time last year, I was hearing from community members because there were people of course you have some people that will say, oh, it's not this, it's not that, but then I had many community members that said they brought their children to Bedford because of the special needs program, because of the special education program, because it was different from other communities in which they had their child. And again, like me, they saw the difference. So even if people just come and hear about it, they want to do a tour during after school just to see where the students are. I would love to hear that, because again, we're making differences, and I want our community to hear more about it.
Well, if you ever want to come see the BEAR program, just let me know. I'm happy to walk you through. We would love to have you guys.
I would just say also definitely thank you to the board, because we went out on a limb with this program. People just really didn't understand. A lot of them thought that, we were throwing our babies away, not really understanding that, the four walls and the traditional structure is not for everyone, and success looks different for everyone. And I think, there's a lot to be said in that. And I know there was a very difficult, struggle, for you, Marion, and just being here and going through this program and getting it up and running. But I think this was a chance that you also took on our leadership team to support us in establishing such a great program.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we won't make you cry anymore.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, next on our agenda is 5.01. Do we have any audience participation forms? No? All righty. Well, we're going to go ahead past that. 6.01 is our consent agenda. Have a motion for our consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda as it is presented.
Second.
It has been motioned by Mrs. Boynton and second by Mrs. Macklin that we approve the consent agenda as presented. Do we have any? Go ahead, Dr. Johnson. You have a lot going on.
Yeah, I got a lot going on, and I won't look up. But when we talk about special education, and you thank some of our teachers, I think we also need to think about special education has changed a lot. This is my 32nd year in education, and it's changed a lot. Whether it's legislation, just how we serve children, just everything in general has shifted. And so I think there's much honor and appreciation needs to go with our teachers that have stuck through. They chose special education, but they also chose public education, because we don't get to pick and choose who we want. We are here to serve each and every one. We also need to make time to hear from not just our staff, but our parents. So it takes a great teacher to not only take the hip hip hoorays, but also to take the feedback and the concerns that they have about their children. And I think someone like Ms. Clifford has been the epiphany of that. You've gone through a lot of leadership at the building and the district level, and sometimes people forget about who the foundation is or who the rock is that's keeping things together. And I think you've been that person at Heskett. You've served on many committees, just the leadership role. You taking in our new teachers and just the support that you've lended day in and day out. And it's going to be a huge loss to Heskett. So I'm not sure if there's anything that you want to say, but you even took the time to try to come over and hand deliver the letter, and Dr. Threaton and I really had the opportunity to come over and see you face to face, and I think that says a lot about you and your character and your dedication to Bedford. So thank you.
Well, it's been a wonderful 30 years. I was in the same room August of 1995, accepting my position, and I've been here since. And when Marion Armstrong said, the reason is the children. My reason's been the children of Bedford for 30 years, and I still think of my first students, and they're now in their 30s, and I still keep in contact with them, and it just feels like I've had a part in raising them. I just want you to know it's not goodbye, it's not adios. I would like to, still be a part of the district, and
we'll hold you to that.
Let me know. Let me know. I'm just moving into a different direction with my career, but I still want to be in education. So thank you, everyone. I worked with a lot of you, your children, and it's been such a pleasure. Thank you.
And who do you have with you?
My husband, Eric, my rock.
Thank you, Eric.
Are you happy to have her closer to you a little bit more now?
He's ready.
Vacations, huh?
I said I'm being selfish.
Well, you're allowed to.
But thank you.
Thank you. That is definitely commitment there, and I can see it on your face as before we even started talking about you, you can see the emotions. And so we appreciate teachers like you who give yourself day in and day out and really give it your all. And it shows. And the fact that you still know the kids all these years, that means something. You still have that relationship. So thank you so much. Anyone else? All righty. Any questions or anything on consent agenda? No? All righty. Roll call.
Yep. Ms. Boynton,
Yes.
Ms. Macklin,
Yes.
Ms. Turner Birch,
Yes.
Mr. Akins,
Yes.
Ms. Carter.
Yes. Thank you, board. Motion passes 5-0. All right. We have 7 superintendent's report. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over.
Good evening, Board President, Vice President, and board members. This evening, I have multiple recommendations coming before you. The first one is an overnight field trip. This is for our CTE competition. And so this is the competition that they go to each year, so we're asking of your approval of that. Under 7.02, we ask of your approval of the funding for some of our non-public schools. As a reminder to our public, we do serve as the fiscal agent for multiple entities that are outside of our district. So here you will have that list. Much appreciation goes to Dr. Harrington and his department, because this is a huge task to ensure that even though they're not our employees, he has to make sure that they're using their money appropriately. So you'll see that list here. Under 7.03, we ask of your approval of the MOU for the CCP partnership with Tri-C. Under 7.04, we ask of your approval of the CTE program. In order for us to have the STEAM program at Heskett, there is a fee that goes along with that for the Project Lead the Way program. So here you will see that agreement. And that is required in order for us that program to be considered a part of CTE at the state level. 7.05, we ask of your approval of the CCP agreement for Stark State. A lot of people might not know that, but ASL now at the high school, our students have dual enrollment with that. Under 7.06, we ask of your approval of Felicio Fleet Management, and our transportation supervisor can talk a little bit about that, should you have questions. Under 7.07, we ask of your approval of our renewal of the Ohio High School Athletic Association membership. We are required to do that each year. Under 7.08 and 7.09, we ask of your approval of the following separation agreements. And then under 7.10, we ask of your approval of the authorization design development documents for the new middle school and the K-2 grade school to be submitted to the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. Do we want to take this as a whole, or do we want to do separate? Separate, okay. 7.01, overnight field trip. Have a motion?
Second.
It's been motioned by Mrs. Turner Birch and second by Mr. Akins for the overnight trip as presented. Any questions? None? All right, roll call, please.
Yes. Ms. Turner Birch? Mr. Akins?
Yes.
Ms. Boynton?
Yes.
Ms. Macklin?
Yes.
Ms. Carter?
Yes. 5-0 passes. Thank you, board. We have 7.02 contracts, Executive Director of Academic Achievement for non-public schools. For motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
It's been motioned by Mrs. Macklin and second by Mrs. Boynton. Do we have any questions?
My question is, I know you said it operates on a fiscal agent to make sure that the funds are being appropriated at these individual schools. Oh, at these individual schools. Why do they receive money? Is this because these are the schools in which our students that are supposed to be in the district, or who live in the district but may be attending these schools? Or can you just explain why we have to have money sent to these non-public schools?
Yeah, there are various reasons, depending upon the school, as to why funding flows through. So I don't know, Dr. Harrington, if you want to go through each of these and share about, some of the examples. Some of our students do attend some of these, but there are various reasons depending upon the program.
That really is the main reason, though. We do have one building or one school, Safely Homes. That's a little different, but outside of that, the ones listed being parochial schools, as you stated, students attend those schools. That's a federal law that we have to give them funds. They receive a portion of our allocation.
Mike,
Please.
you need to say that very loudly.
Yes, please.
That our
Say it
money is
loudly.
leaving, please.
They receive a percentage of our allocation when it comes in, and we're mandated to meet with them to make sure, as Dr. Johnson said, that they are allocating their funds appropriately. And then we are monitored by the state to ensure that those funds are being spent down appropriately.
And these are federal funds, not state dollars, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
More funds that
And
can
I
be
don't
effective.
believe, and that's even though they flow through us, they aren't held to the same standards.
Correct.
Correct. As far as educationally, right? Are we talking about what the standard
Yeah,
is?
licensure,
curriculum?
assessments.
And Mr. Harris, Dr. Harris, this is Title I funds, right?
Correct. Yes,
So
Title
the
I.
Title I funds.
But they can also receive other funds from the federal government. So there's also the opportunity for Title I-D, Title II at times as well.
So if these things come down the pipeline and they could be impacted, will we still have to
If
some additional money from the general fund?
No. So
Okay,
if
good.
there's no federal funds coming in, or if
They
something
won't.
changes, that'll be represented. I don't know what that will look like, but yes.
Okay, thank you.
But it does behoove them.
Right.
Because they will be impacted as well, and I'm not sure if they're really thinking about that right now.
Right. Thank you so much,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Harrington. Any other questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Yes. Ms. Macklin?
Yes.
Ms. Boynton?
Yes.
Ms. Turner Birch?
She's shaking her head, yeah.
Yes.
I
There we go.
apologize. Mr. Akins?
Yes.
Ms. Carter?
Yes, 'tis the season, unfortunately. Motion passes 5-0, board. Thank you. We have 7.03 for our MOU, Cuyahoga County College Executive Director of Academic Achievement. This is for the CCP with Tri-C. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned by Mrs. Turner Birch, second by Mr. Akins. Do we have any questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Yes, Ms. Turner Birch,
Yes.
Mr. Akins,
Yes.
Ms. Boynton,
Yes.
Ms. Macklin,
Yes.
Ms. Carter.
Yes, thank you, board. Passes 5-0. We have 7.04, service contract approval for CTE program for Heskett Middle School for STEAM engineering for the 2025-2026 and 26-27 school years, funded via the Project Lead the Way grant. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
It has been moved by Mrs. Turner Birch and seconded by Mrs. Macklin. Any questions? Comments? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Yes, Ms. Turner Birch,
Yes.
Ms. Macklin,
Yes.
Ms. Boynton,
Yes.
Mr. Akins,
Yes.
Ms. Carter.
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, board. 7.05, MOU Stark College for the 2025-2026 school year for CCP. Have a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved by Mr. Akins and seconded by Mrs. Macklin. Do we have any questions or comments? None. Here, roll call, please.
Yes, Mr. Akins,
Yes.
Ms. Macklin,
Yes.
Ms. Boynton,
Yes.
Ms. Turner Birch,
Yes.
Ms. Carter.
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. We have 7.06, our service contract with Fleeto? And, yeah, and Fleet Management. Motion, please?
Motion to approve.
You know what, I'm going to have, motion to, okay, we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. It's been motioned by Mrs. Boynton and seconded by Mrs. Macklin. If I could have you come on up, that way if anyone has any questions or anything towards it. Because if I'm understanding, it's still the same situation, just a different company?
Just a different vendor, yeah, but it's actually better, much better.
Okay.
We won't, it reduces the amount of paper we use because the drivers can use their phone.
Talking to the mic.
Oh, I'm sorry, I just did that. It's actually, to us, it's much better because with this service, the drivers can use their phone. When we do our pre-trips, we at Transportation utilize a lot of paper. This will reduce that cost, and it also increases, like when something's going on with the bus, the mechanics will get the responses a lot faster. That way we can address the issue prior to, like if something's going on with the bus and then it's later because you're waiting for the driver to write down a request for the repair to take place, they're notified and they'll know, so we can address it and take care of our buses a lot sooner with the wear and tear and stuff like that. And then, what am I missing? What else? There's so much.
I think we
I'm
should
sorry, you still got me choked up on the babies.
point out that we are not purchasing new buses anytime soon. So it's important to have this type of software for our mechanics to use so they get notifications whenever there's need for oil changes or if there's an engine problem, so they can stay on top of the maintenance of the buses, of the fleet.
And this actually works hand in hand with our, with the bus ride that we just switched to. And because the programs that we have now, they're old. They're not as, this here, the parents will be able to have the apps and stuff with that, and then we can have the repairs, and we don't have it at the last minute where we have to put out robos like, oh, the bus is broke down, so they had to change, and it pushes us back 15, 20 minutes, and then we're trying to get out the robocalls. It's just it's an updated, more efficient program that will save us more money in the long run.
So it's much more real time for parents.
Yes.
So less calls to you, hey, where is my child? They can see it on the.
That goes with the bus ride. And then this
Perfect.
Fleetio is our maintenance on our buses where our mechanics can see this like right away and get on it. As opposed to you waiting on a driver that's supposed to come in and write it up and it might be cold that day, and they take off and don't write it up, so we don't know, and it might get passed until the next person gets on the bus. So this here eliminates all of that, so we can take care of everything. Because you'll have, sometimes you get busy, things happen on the bus, and you forget. So this way, that'll take care of all of that, eliminates anything that we can miss.
So they're two separate systems. This isn't the same
They go
system as
together.
before.
Right, Bus Right was the system that do our
The
routing
tracking.
and all of that, and it also gives the parents that, the app too, that they can follow in real time.
Okay.
And Fleetio works hand in hand with it, the two of them, they merge.
Gotcha. So there are two separate costs involved with, because they're two different programs.
Right, and that's how we have it now too, but we have two separate costs with stuff that's not working properly. That we can't really, we have to go in and it's continue maintenance. This here, everything is pretty much included with it, and it's much better. It's a much better system for our kids and the parents.
And again, we narrowed it down to two
Yeah.
softwares. Before we were using maybe 5 or 6.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So you said we was having 5 or so, and then now we're down to just the 2.
We're just down
Much
to
more
2.
efficient. Perfect. Okay. Sounds good. Any other questions or anything? All right, thank you.
One question, does this represent a cost savings at all, since we're going to less systems to be used?
Well, the cost savings one was the paper. We're going to be saving with the paper. We're going to be saving with the mechanics being able to stay on top of any issues that have to do with the bus. Cost saving, again, now the chief mechanic can assign orders to his mechanics via phone. It's just more efficient, and if you're working more efficiently, you are going to be saving money.
And I think you said that you're going from 5 programs to 2.
Yes, we have
So that
5
alone, I think, would
programs
be
where we have to look at this program to find out where the bus is, this program to find out the student's name, this program. Now we're just down to two programs. So, but overall comparable price, we are saving a little, but again, the programs that we had prior were not working properly.
And the maintenance with this one too, because it costs more with the other one. You have to keep paying. With this here, we don't have to. With the other program, you had to pay, like with the different training and the maintenance and stuff. With this is all included in our pricing.
Oh, perfect.
So they may be a little close in pricing, but you get so much more with this.
Perfect.
So it's more cost efficient.
Great, sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Ms. Boynton,
Yes.
Ms. Macklin,
Yes.
Ms. Turner Birch,
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Mr. Akins,
Yes.
Ms. Carter.
Yes, thank you. Passed 5-0. Thank you so much. We're on 7.07 with approval of resolution 2025-40 for continued membership in the Ohio High School Athletic Association for the 25-26 school year. You have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, it's been motioned by Mrs. Macklin and second by Mr. Akins. Do we have any questions or concerns or comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Yes, Ms. Macklin,
Yes.
Mr. Akins,
Yes.
Ms. Boynton,
Yes.
Ms. Turner Birch,
Yes.
Ms. Carter.
Yes, thank you, passes 5-0. We have 7.08, separation agreement, clarifying terms of separation between Bedford City School District, Board of Education, and Erica Wright. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned by Mrs. Boynton and second by Mrs. Macklin. Do we have any questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Ms. Boynton,
Yes.
Ms. Macklin,
Yes.
Ms. Turner Birch,
No.
Mr. Akins,
Yes.
Ms. Carter.
Yes. It passes 4-1. Thank you, Board. We have 7.09, separation agreement, clarifying terms of separation between the Bedford City School District, Board of Education, and Mrs. Fletcher. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned by Mrs. Boynton and second by Mr. Akins. Do we have any questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Ms. Boynton?
Yes.
Mr. Akins?
Yes.
Ms. Turner Birch?
No.
Ms. Macklin?
Yes.
Ms. Carter?
Yes. Motion passes 4-1. Thank you, Board. We have 7.10, approval of resolution authorizing design development documents for the new middle school and K through 2 grade school to be submitted to the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been motioned by Mrs. Macklin and second by Mrs. Boynton. Any questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Ms. Macklin?
Yes.
Ms. Boynton?
Yes.
Ms. Turner Birch?
Yes.
Mr. Akins?
Yes.
Ms. Carter?
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Board. We are now on to Treasurer's Report.
Thank you, President Carter,
Thank
board members, Dr. Johnson. Tonight, 8.01 is the Treasurer's Report. This is the month report I'll be submitting to the board at each regular board meeting, the second board meeting of every month. Just want to point out a couple of things before any questions come my way. If you look at page 3 of this report, you'll see that revenue is trending unfavorable compared to the forecast. Reason behind this, I kind of allude to it the last meeting. In fiscal year 24, in our advance, we received $1,459,000 to the general fund. This year, our advance was only 60% of what we were owed, so that was $786,000. We will eventually receive those funds, but they weren't so kind to give us all the funds that we had been collected for the district at this point, so that's a $673,000 difference. I just wanted to point that out. Any other questions about that, I can definitely address. For 8.02, we have a service contract with BMI Audit Services. This is a audit of our dependents that are on our health care, any child dependents or spouses. It's recommended we do this about 1 every 3 years, so it's a little overdue that the district does this. This ran through the insurance committee, so it was that committee's decision to go ahead with BMI and do this audit. 8.03, I have 2 student activity budget and purpose statements. One is job training for P&B. This is ran out of Miriam Armstrong's department. It's a job building skills for her students. And then a purpose and budget report for the Soul Fest, which is tomorrow night. Just something that has to be done every year, so I want to get that before the board before we have that fest. And then 8.04 is the approval of the written plan. This is a requirement that we had to do through the Department of Education Workforce. We've been working on this for about 3 months now. I think as soon as I came in, started working on this. A lot of these recommendations has already been reported to you in the weekly reports put out by Dr. Johnson. This report just kind of captures the savings for those recommendations. And then included in that are some estimated but going to happen reductions we'll have with building closures going from 6 to 4 buildings. So that's in the later pages of that report. And that's my update.
Thank you so much. Do we want to take this as a whole or separate?
Can we do it as a whole?
Is everyone okay with doing as a whole?
I'm okay with that.
Or are there any questions, let's say that if taking this as a whole?
Yeah, going back to the treasurer's report. Well, how has the negative balance been adjusted so that moving forward, where are we at?
Well, if you look at the reports, right now we are trending positive $750,000. Including that is the negative revenue, which kind of explains, so the number's a little skewed because of the timing of it. But if you look at the expense side, we are running $1.1 million favorable to the forecast. So,
Okay, so in the green, so this is where we are as far as the cash, okay.
yeah. So it kind of shows the district, took that plan. We are being responsible with our spending. If you go on a little bit further to page 5, you can see compared to last year, month to date, we're running lower on salaries and benefits and other expenses. Purchase services is run a little bit higher compared to last January, and the reason behind that is we now pay out district subs through purchase services instead of having in-house subs, teachers. And then also, we made payments to an SRO last year in January, where this year we're doing it in February. I'm sorry, this year we did one of them in January compared to last year, we did them both in February.
So actual expenses for the month are down compared to last year by 5,540.
And then if you go to number 2 of that, you'll see for the year, salary and benefits, we are 597,000 to the good in our terms, because we're down in salaries and benefits. Purchase services overall, we're down 189,000. And then all other expenses, which is going to include your supplies and capital outlay, we're down 548,000. And part of that has to do, as transportation mentioned, we're not buying buses this year. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
All righty, thank you. So go ahead and take treasurer's report. Can I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report, 8.01, 8.02, 8.03, and 8.04?
Motion to approve.
Second.
It has been motioned by Mrs. Macklin and second by Mr. Akins that we accept 8.01 through 8.04. Any additional questions? No, hearing none. Roll call, please.
Yes. Ms. Macklin?
Yes.
Mr. Akins?
Yes.
Ms. Boynton? Ms. Turner Birch?
Yes.
Ms. Carter?
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Thank you, board. 9 is our Board of Education old business, new business. We have our second reading and approval of our updated board policies. Can I have a motion?
Motion to approve board policy revisions as presented.
Second.
It has been motioned by Mrs. Boynton and second by Mrs. Macklin that we approve the board policy revisions as presented. Any questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Yes. Ms. Boynton?
Yes.
Ms. Macklin?
Yes.
Ms. Turner Birch?
Yes.
Mr. Akins?
Yes.
Ms. Carter?
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, board. All righty. Any other additional new business that we need to discuss? I will mention that I am going to a training on Saturday in Independence. I honestly cannot remember the name of it, but I'm going to, through OSBA, I'll be there. Yeah, it's a leadership, but it's like beyond the basics. Thank you. Beyond the basics. I knew something would help me. Beyond, I'm gonna hope that everybody up here stays healthy and gets some vitamin D, C, E through Z. Hope everybody feel better. Just bring your Lysol, everything up here. It is. So I hope everybody feels better. That's going to be my next part. Anything else?
Yeah, I just have a few legislative updates. House Bill 3, it increases the fines for illegally passing a stopped school bus, allows the use of school bus camera equipment to record anyone illegally passing a stopped school bus, creates the school bus safety fund funded by fines collected for violations of passing a stopped school bus. This was in the House Transportation Committee. I do need another update because this was given to me last week, so I'm not as sure if that came out of committee this week or during session yesterday. But these are just a few of the bills that have been updated. House Bill 43, waives the minimum number of instructional hours that students must be. This is for Ashtabula School District. And that's in the House Education Committee. House Bill 57 provides policies for municipalities and school district that elects to keep a supply of an overdose reversal drug for use for emergency uses. Require each school supply to be stored in a secure location that is accessible to school employees and/or contractors. That's in the House Committee as well. Senate Bill 7 requires public and chartered non-public schools to provide yearly instruction to students on the harmful effects and of short-term or chronic substance use, and that's in the Senate Education Committee. Senate Bill 48 requires the Auditor of State to audit the funds or accounts of chartered non-public schools that public money is deposited into, hence what Kenya had shared with us and what we had to approve there. Senate Bill 19 requires schools to develop free academic intervention services for students who have lower scores in the state assessment test in math and English. And that's a big one because, once again, it's supposed to be for free tutoring after school. Senate Bill 50 allows 14 to 15-year-olds to work between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. if the minor has approved from a parent or a guardian. That's in the Senate Workforce Development Committee. Senate Bill 49 allows school districts to sell property it owns valued over $10,000 to community schools via a private sale. It eliminates the option for a school district to prioritize the lease or sale of a real property to certain STEM schools, and that was in the Senate Education Committee as well. Another update that has just been proposed, and it is also, I believe it is looking for, actually, it was just introduced. It's looking for other co-sponsors, but Senator Serino is one of the co-sponsors, but this is by Senator Brenner. Senate Bill 107. This will require designation of school board's ballots to require state and school board, state and district school board members to appear on the ballot with a party designation. If we recall, this happened for judges over last year that the Senate had put into play. So once again, now it's about to require a nonpartisan spacing to now become partisan. There was a right to work bill that was introduced last week, and that was basically to bust up unions. That was recently killed by the chairman. So right now, that is off the table. I have a list of individuals. I'm not going to read everyone, but if you go onto the house.gov, you will see everyone in the House Workforce and Higher Education Committee. Those are the legislators that we need to be writing and saying what is effective for us as a public school district for operations, as well as what's best for addressing our students and the students that we serve. Senate Bill 1 is in the House. So we want to make sure that people understand what this will do to us as a trickle-down effect, not just at the higher education level with taking away what the professors can teach as it relates to diversity, equity, inclusion. But of course, like I said before, it will have a trickle-down effect to the secondary and elementary levels as well. As far as the budget that the governor had introduced, that'll be budget 96. I will actually be in a legislative webinar on Monday the 24th about the Fair School Funding Plan and addressing the whole budget for, I think it's Budget Bill 96. 56, okay, I knew it had a 6 in it, 56. So I will be on the webinar for that on Monday. And that is it as far as the legislative liaison. I know I've been talking a lot and my voice is gone. But I do also just want to share that it is Black History Month still. But it's also Black History Month, 365 days of the year as well. So I just want to make sure that we're recognizing that. It's also Love Month and American Heart Month. Jamie will appreciate this. It's Library Lovers Month as well. I think this is important since we're seeing a trickle down of eliminating diversity, equity, and inclusion, and books are being banned. This is a time, even during Black History Month, to understand and pick up those books that will eventually maybe not be able to be read or sold or shared. It is also Children's Dental Health Month. It's important for children to get their teeth checked every 6 months. So if you haven't had a child dentistry appointment, this month would be a great time to go ahead and set that appointment. And I don't think today is a special day. So, yep, that's it.
No, I was just gonna, piggyback off that to reach out to your legislators about the fair funding plan. We really need your support as a public school district.
Yeah, you can go ahead and, yeah. Yes, please.
I gave him the flyer.
Turn it on. There you go.
Okay. Yeah, I want to invite you all and everyone at home to join us next Friday, the 28th, at Bedford High School for what we call Movie Snack in the Chat. So what we're going to do is watch a movie together, listen to each other, and learn together. So we're inviting students, staff, and community members to look at a documentary that highlights a piece of American history and honors African American History Month, and a documentary called The Children's March. So I'm not sure, have you all heard of the Children's March at all? Well, if not, what happened is over 1,000 black children marched from the 16th Street Baptist Church to downtown Birmingham in a nonviolent protest against segregation in Birmingham, Alabama in 1963, which eventually resulted in ending segregation in the United States. So it's a wonderful, wonderful story. And so the vision is we all come together, we watch, and we have a discussion after watching the documentary. So have some flyers, and everyone from all 4 communities are invited. We'll have students, staff, and eventually we hope to have more chats like this where we are, promoting healthy dialogue in our community.
And you did say the date, didn't you? I don't remember hearing you say the date.
It's Friday, the
Okay,
28th,
perfect.
and it's at 6 o'clock at the high school. Yep, and the documentary is only 45 minutes.
Thank you so much.
And snacks will be there as well.
All righty.
And the children shall lead the way.
All right, I think we have heard it all.
Well, we have one final announcement. Just to invite everyone to the Heskett Middle School's annual Black History Program tomorrow night from 6 to 8 p.m. It'll start off with a program which will be feature heroes here at home. It'll be a tribute to local black businesses, which will be from 6 to 6:30, followed by a soul food fest from 6:30 to 8. Tickets are $9. You can purchase them online. Please come out and support our youth that are participating. We should also have a jazz band performance, I believe, as well, happening at that time.
Thank you for that reminder. And last, promise this is the last one.
Oh, I do got one more. too,
March,
before you say
second to last. March 1st, Saturday, March 1st, we will have our next community engagement at Bedford Heights City Hall. I'm sorry, not City Hall, Bedford Heights Community Center at 10 a.m. Again, that is Saturday, March 1st at their Bedford Heights Community Center at 10 a.m. Please come out. GPD will not be there this time, but we will put out online what we will be discussing in detail. Thank you.
And to add for March 1st as well, afterwards, Rome Baptist Church has their first of the month food distribution. from 10 to 1. So after the community meeting in Bedford Heights, you can come on over to Oakwood, to Lincolnville Avenue, Rome Baptist Church Opportunity Center. We'll be distributing food.
Thank you so much. All righty, and if all minds and hearts are clear, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
That's the loudest you've been on there, I'm just
Oh,
playing.
yeah.
It has been motioned by Mrs. Macklin and a second by Mrs. Boynton. Roll call, please.
Ms. Macklin?
Yes.
Ms. Boynton?
Yes.
Ms. Turner Birch?
Yes.
Mr. Akins?
Yes.
Ms. Carter?
Yes. Motion to adjourn is accepted. Have a good